Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Doctor to Doctor in the chat room. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda Shaw, and I'm so happy to have you back yet another Saturday to share with me relevant topics that impact our communities and our world. As I said to you on last week, we are celebrating Black History Month. This month has been set aside for that, but for me, I think this should be ongoing to celebrate our heritage and our culture. And I plan to do that right here at Doctor to Doctor on 94.7 FM. We are not going to stop on February 28th celebrating. That's just too short, just not enough time to encompass all of the things that African Americans have done for our country and for our world. I have a very, very special guest that I know you guys are going to be delighted to hear from, that you will hear from very momentarily. But as I always say, please use those necessary precautions to stay safe, as in wearing your mask and physically distancing yourselves from one another. And do not congregate in large crowds. And just make sure you're getting tested. If you test positive, don't expose yourselves to others until you've gone back and gotten tested again. And make sure that that test is negative. We do have the vaccines in rollout now. You can go on tn.gov to kind of see where you fit into that schedule of being vaccinated. If you don't know where to get tested, just contact your local health department and they can steer you in the right direction of where you need to go to get tested. I'm very honored today to have Mayor McTizic with me. I'm honored because I believe he is actually the first African American mayor for the city, as well as the youngest mayor for the city. So he's kind of making history in double time here. And I'm so glad that you're here with me. Thank you for taking a moment out of your busy schedule. We must have played text tag so much. Thank
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I always count on honor and pleasure to speak with such a special person like yourself.
Thank you so much, sir. So let's just start with how you got here, being the youngest, the first African American mayor of the city, and the youngest. How did you get here? And I'm just gonna make it twofold. What prompted your getting here, and then how did your family, particularly, I know you're married and you have kids. How did your family receive your aspirations for this role?
Well, I'll say first, I didn't grow up saying I want to be the mayor one day or I want to be in politics one day. So what I guess, long story short, I had a game room when I was in town trying to just do things, provide activities for the kids, something that I growing up in Baller, I hated being here. I was nothing to do, so we got involved, and it was so hard. I had so many uh, stumbling blocks when it came to trying to just operate a business. I mean, it was just one thing after the other, and it led me to get involved on the local level with politics, just going to the mayor at the time or different elected officials, just asking them for help with various reasons with different things. And
Mm-hmm.
I went to a council meeting and I was looking at the meeting and how things went. And I went to one, then I went to another one. I just started going. And I'm like, hey, I could do that.
Okay.
I mean, that's not hard. I'm saying we need somebody up there that's younger to maybe put in some more ideas and different
Mm-hmm.
things. I was like, so I'm gonna run for council, so I ran for city council and I served on the council for 4 years. And in the process of serving, I was able to learn a lot more about government, local government. I learned about the procedures, the processes, and the reasons things were the way they were at the time. And have my different opinions about how we could change things. I say I never ran when I ran for council, I still didn't have the intent on running for mayor. Actually, me and my wife were saving up. We were going to move. I didn't even want to live in Baldwin.
Okay.
As we started serving on council, different things would come up that I just completely disagree with. And I'm like, this is not, no, we can do this. So I'll say the night that I decided I'll run for mayor, because different people that came to me about it, and I'm still just saying no. The night that I decided I was going to run for mayor, we had a council meeting, and at the time, government it was such a big wall between the citizens and our local government. I mean, it was such a divide where you didn't always feel the answers to your questions were right, or you didn't know for sure if somebody was hiding something, or it just was that divide there. It was like, it was, the citizens was here, government was over here. I'm thinking like government is supposed to help, not like keep us out, So I started feeling like that, and I would ask questions. So I've always been, inquisitive about
Inquisitive.
stuff. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So when my parents, growing up, I couldn't ask them why, and I'm pretty sure it's the same way with you. If you ask
Yeah.
why, you get hit, or say, "Hey, don't I see that because it's gonna be this way."
Because
So
I said so.
so when
Uh-huh.
I got on the council, I was wanting, not necessarily trying to find negative things. I just wanted to know, why do we do it the way we do it, and why don't we do it this way? And how about we try doing it this way or that way? And one thing led to another. But I was at one council meet, and something that came up was defining a church. And it was a meeting basically to make sure a particular business was going to be able to open in a certain part of town. And I mean, it got real crazy. And I'm like, heck no. And I came home and I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna run for mayor. And she looked like, what? And I said, I'm running for mayor. I said, if I can't change this, I don't want to be a part of it. So I'm running for mayor. And she just said, oh God, here we go. She's been supportive of everything. Now, she's been supportive of everything that I put my mind to do. She's my number one fan. Now, there's times where I'm thinking she's like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? And why did I
Yeah.
marry this guy?
Uh-huh.
But she's 100% in my corner. Even up to now, even every business thing, everything that I've wanted to do or try, she's always been supportive of it. So, you don't have to have a lot of people, just a few people,
That's right.
and so, and, I just got out and got involved, and it wasn't that I wasn't necessarily running to be the first African-American mayor or to be the youngest mayor. My ultimate goal was to try to change our community.
Mm-hmm.
And it was other people that, reminded me, or other people that brought it to my attention. Hey, you realize like this, you can make history. And,
Wow.
and it meant more to older people that, I had one guy came to me, an older gentleman came to me, and he was like, I remember when we weren't even allowed to step foot in our office, and if we did, we had to go through the back door, and we couldn't drink out the same water fountain. He said, I just want to come by your office. If you're able to win, can I just come and sit in your office?
Wow.
And that was so powerful for me, and it brought tears to my eyes. When he came to my office, I barely could walk almost, just wanted to have the opportunity to say that he was in the office of mayor of the city of Baller, and he was an African-American male. I mean, it meant a lot to him. And, so I still, to this day, I still get calls and different people asking me or telling me their stories. And, and I'm grateful for that opportunity to serve our community, black and white alike. I'm grateful for that opportunity to just be a part of such a great community. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited, and I was excited then, and I'm still adding fuel to the fire. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really a beautiful story, and I can just only imagine that it's a part of, it's just the beginning, right, of an amazing journey that you're probably going to take. I'd really be interested in knowing, though, when you were on the council, how receptive were your fellow councilmen and women to your ideas and all of that?
It was about probably two or three of us that was sort of, we got labeled as troublemakers.
Radical,
But it was two,
radical.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
radicals, that were support. And I had one or two that just, they didn't know. And I even to this day, some of the people that I served on council with, they still serve with me as mayor, and they come to me a lot and tell me how much they appreciate, the job that I'm doing, and how inclusive I am with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I can't tell you just how many things where we were left in the dark about. And, it's hard to make a decision for something, or hard to make a choice on a issue that we're facing if you don't know all the facts.
All the
And for
details.
me, I said, I did not want to put my counsel in that situation. I want everything I know, I want to tell them. So when they have to make that decision on whatever the ordinance is going to be, or however they vote, then they can make that on their free will, knowing that all the facts are out here.
Mhm.
So I do updates with them, because there's times where the council and the mayor, we wouldn't even talk to each other for a whole month. We'll see each other at a meeting, and that's it. You know, I text them weekly. I do a weekly update with them, letting them know, hey, this is who I met with this week. This is what we did this week. Here's what our plans are for next week. And I've been doing that since I've been in office. So every week they have a sort of ongoing thing of what, you know, and if they want to look at it, they want to read the report, they do. If they don't, that's fine too. Some call, have questions, some don't. So, you know, however you serve is fine. But like I said, for a minute, I started off being just, like you said, a radical, a troublemaker. And then others start to be like, hey, what is it going to hurt to try it this way? What is it going to hurt to, you know, with another opinion here? So it worked out. And I mean, like I said, I've gained some of the ones that was against me when I came in office. They're some of my biggest supporters now. So, awesome. You know, it's all about working together. And I try to tell people, and I learned too, we ultimately all have the same goal. We want a better community, and we want our city to be better. We just get off on the way we want to do it. You know, some people think we need to go this way, some think we need to go that way. In the meantime, we just argue with each other and we don't go anywhere. So, you know, I think we all have the same goal in mind, is a better community. It's just how we go about getting there.
Yeah. And that's so true. And I mean, and for me, you know, it's my hometown. And now when I come back, you know, I see some of the things that you're doing, and some of the things that you've incorporated into, you know, the city, and it feels so much better, so much better. So you are up for re-election. How's that going?
Excited.
In a pandemic going.
Well, that's going to be different. This will be my first time doing this, so it's going to be real different. And I've been talking to some other people that has went through the election and what they dealt with. You know, it's funny. My wife hates this time because all the slander and all the negativity, all that stuff comes out. I love the opportunity to talk to people and get ideas, because one of the hardest challenges is trying to get people involved. You know, and people are busy, and people are busy. They got so much stuff going on. So when the election comes, people actually want to be involved, and they ask questions, and they want to know this. And I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So I guess, well, I have two opponents. So I'm excited to lay my platform out there, and hopefully the city like the track that we're going on, and they'll give me another 4 years.
I was going to ask if you are a change agent. It's obvious that you're a change agent. But I'll ask though, if you consider yourself one, and why or why not? Because I guess I'll ask because I heard you say, even when you thought about running for mayor, you know, it never even crossed your mind that you would be the first African American or the youngest. You were just thinking about, you know, what role you could play, you know, in changing things and bettering the community. So let's talk about you being a change agent.
Yeah, well, when I came in, when I ran for mayor, my campaign 4 years ago was about a baller. And I talked about change, wanting something new. So when it was a lot of rumors going around that I was going to fire everybody and replace all the department heads. That just comes with an election.
It does.
But my first meeting I had with all my department heads and all my employees, I said, listen, y'all, change is a good thing. I said the citizens elected me because they wanted something different. They wanted a change. Well, it's up to us to determine how we're going to go about making that change. Now, I can come and say we're going to fire everybody and put a whole new group in. I don't think that's what the community wanted to see. The community wanted to see us working together, black, white, young, old, whoever it was, to come together and work together. So I said, look, here's where we at. We can pull together, put all the election, all this stuff behind us, and move forward. And the employees were receptive. When my department heads, it was something, I hate to use the word difficult. It was different. I say that was different because when I sat down at my department head meeting, my first department head meeting, I was looking at people. One, everyone in the room was old enough to be my mom and dad, every single one of them. Some of them were older than my parents. Some of them went to school with my parents. So that was one thing. Someone went to school with my parents. So to sit there and I even was a summer worker for one of my department heads. You know, so now to sit there and they have to look at me as their boss per se, that was a different thing, and they didn't know how I was going to be, and honestly I didn't know how I was going to be, how receptive they were going to be. All of them had been working for the city 20. I think the one that had the least number of years was 25, I think. But
Mm,
all of them had been there 30 plus years. I was only 30 when I got elected. So these ladies and gentlemen have been working for the city, some of them longer than I've been alive.
yeah.
So, like, how was I going to go in and tell them we're going to change this, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
do this when they've been doing it for years? So,
Mm-hmm.
like I told them, I said, look, guys, I'm not here to try to tell you how to run a fire department. I'm not here to tell you how to run a street department. You've been doing that for 10, 20 years. If you don't know how to do that, it's nothing that a 30-year-old mayor can come in and tell you what to do. So, what I want to know is the system and the process that y'all use, and just tell me why we do it this way, and let's see how we can streamline this and how we can get the word out to the citizens. This is our process, this is our procedure. I said, because a lot of times we go to these meetings and we talk about everything, all these resources we got. Well, if the citizens don't know about these resources, if they don't know what we provide, we're just patting ourselves on the back to say, look what
Mm-hmm.
we're doing, and nobody's taking advantage of it. So when I came in, that was different. One of the, and we joke about it now, one of the biggest things that I first took office was I'm an Apple user. I use Mac computer. Yeah, so the system that they use was Windows. I haven't used a PC since I was in high school. So I mean, I forgot how to do the start button and all. I didn't
Yeah.
know any of this stuff. And they was like, well, man, we got to get you a computer. What kind of computer do you want? I said, it don't matter. I said, as long as it's Apple. And my assistant was like, Apple, what's that? And I was like, well, okay, well, let me explain it. So that was, we joke about it now, but so now they had to change some of their software to coincide, because I was like, look, I'm not using a PC. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry. I got an Apple. My personal computer's a Mac. My cell phones are iPhones. I'm not going to the PC side. I'm sorry. So we
Yeah.
joke about that now, but that was something. But little small things like that. Doing Facebook, I wanted a big social media presence for the city, for
Mm-hmm.
people like yourself that's not living here, but you still
Mm-hmm.
care about the community and you want
Yeah.
to help, you want to be involved, and you want to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we put that out, and that was a challenge because someone was like, "Oh no, I'm not doing that Facebook. We're not doing that. What if somebody break into the system?" And I'm like, it's a council meeting, y'all. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? And
Yeah.
I mean, so some of that stuff was different. So now, I mean, but they're all on it. They're sending me stuff, Mayor, let's put this on Facebook, Mayor, let's do
Mm-hmm.
this. So,
Yeah.
that was exciting. But those small things have went a long way. And a lot of people are coming and taking advantage of programs and stuff now and coming to meetings and being a part just because we laid it out there to them. So
Yeah.
those simple things like that, where we try to bring the transparency and bring that government and the citizens together,
Mm-hmm.
was one of the things that's different. And then, you know, honestly, when I walk in a room, my presence in the room alone changes the room, just because, like, and no, not, I'm gonna say this the most respectful way, but most of the time, everybody I was involved with the city and government, not just in Boulder, but all across Tennessee, it's your average 60-year-old white male,
Yeah.
or 60, 70 plus.
Yeah.
And so when I walk in the room, that changes the room itself. I can't tell you how many times I've been with, just recently when I was with my Parks and Rec guy. We went to Jackson to get a part for something. We were all together. I walk in and the guy was talking to him about different things, and he looked at him. He said, "You got to get his approval." And the guy was like, "Who is he?" He looked, and he apologized. He felt that big.
Yeah.
Who was getting him? He was like, "I need you to sign here," and all this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
when he handed him the pen, he was like, "That's my boss." And the guy was like, "For real? I'm sorry, man." So just that, I saw it's fine. I get that a lot, when I'm
Yeah.
with them. They think I'm just an assistant, and I like it that way because I get to see the true you. Like, you get to show me,
Absolutely.
if you can respect me as a young African American male mayor, you can respect anybody. But so that happened a whole lot when I first took office. Just,
Mm-hmm.
they was thinking that I was an assistant, or I just drove them up here and stuff like that.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So I can tell that what people would typically deem a challenge. You've said some things that clearly say what challenges other people don't necessarily challenge you. But I would like to hear what you deem your greatest challenges or challenge has been in this role. And we're going to talk about that when we come back from break. We'll be right back on 94.7 FM. I am back and I am here with Mayor McTizic, the city of Bolivar, and he's going to tell us what he deems his greatest challenges have been. I can't imagine that there are many with him because it sounds like he's willing to tackle anything. So talk about it.
Well, it's hard to say my greatest. I think my greatest challenge that I deal with is the lack of knowledge between the two. When I say the two, I mean my employees, the citizens, and that working together. People just people don't know what they don't know, and they don't know
Mm-hmm.
the process and the procedure. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of times people are upset with local politicians. They're upset with their local government about issues that we have no control over. And it's sometimes hard once I bring them down, whatever it is. Representative Shaw told me this when I first took office, like 2, 3 days after I took office, and you know him a lot more than I do. And I mean, he
Yeah.
came in and he gave me advice that I didn't ask for in his
Mm-hmm.
Shaw type of way.
Mm-hmm.
But I can respect him for it now because one thing he told me, he said, Julian, no matter what, when somebody calls you, if that problem was big enough for them to call the mayor, whatever it is, if it's a cat in the street, if that problem was big enough for them to take the time to call the mayor of the city, that problem is big enough for you to stop what you're doing and help them with it. Even
Mm-hmm.
if you can't fix it, find out who can and you make sure you call them back and you help them.
Mm-hmm.
And if people ask me all the time, what's some of the best advice you can give a politician or elected official? And that's what I tell them, what he told me. But that challenge people don't understand. And sometimes they want to help. They need help, and I want to help them, but I can't. And and I carry that burden with me sometimes because Rhonda called and she needed this, but I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
a school system issue, or it's a state level issue, or it's a federal issue, and I
Mm-hmm.
try to connect them to. And it's hard for me to just say, hey, I can't do this, but we can do this, and accept that. And when people call, if they call me or if they send me a message saying, hey man, I need to talk to you. You got time to talk today? It's hard for me to say no. I'm like, well, let's talk. Yeah, I may have another meeting I'm supposed to be at, but
Mm-hmm.
tell me what your issue is. And I mean, I carry that burden sometimes so heavy, but I enjoy it, and
Mm-hmm.
people fuss and talk. Well, why do you? But I don't know why. Elected officials are just wired different. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
I enjoy it, and
Yeah.
like I tell my wife, she done got now where she don't even ask me. I actually asked me about my day, and I just start telling her, this person called and needed this person needed that. And I had to run and do this, and we did this, and she was like, oh my God, I'm tired. Just don't even tell me anymore. So and I said another one of the challenges that we're transitioning out of now. This position is part time. So right now, come July 1, it will be a full-time position. But right now, it's a part-time position, and you can't, if you want to do it right, and I don't care who it is, if you want to do it right, you have to be able to devote 100% to it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's hard. So right now, for me, I have to balance. I'm a licensed insurance agent with Whitman Life, so
Mm-hmm.
that's my full time. That's what pays the bills for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to balance that out, and sometimes that's challenging. I mean, it's like, do I stop doing what I'm doing because I got a client here that's a customer rather that
Mm-hmm.
needs my help, that I got to make sure I do this because I got to pay my light bill,
Mm-hmm.
or I got a citizen that's wanting to knock the city hall door down because they
Mm-hmm.
got a problem with something,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes back to what I was saying, people don't always understand the balance there. And some people just want to talk to the mayor.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't realize the department head could help them, or this employee could help. I don't care. I want to talk to the mayor. And
Yeah.
most of the time, what I do, I tell them, well, let me have this person call you. He can take care of that. And
Mm-hmm.
they okay, but they want to talk to me, and
Uh-huh.
that's okay. I'm learning how to. I've learned how to deal with that. But I look at every challenge as an obstacle and as an opportunity to overcome, and I try to tackle every one of them like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that I've heard Representative Shaw say is that, it doesn't matter whether a person has voted for you or not. You still represent
Yeah.
that person. So, I know that's would be a difficult thing for some people, or a difficult approach for some people, to
Oh yeah,
take on.
absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And see, and and as our positions, we're nonpartisan. So
Mm-hmm.
we run as independents. We don't run as Democrats. We don't run as
Uh-huh.
Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
We're a nonpartisan
Mm-hmm.
position. But I have been, and I work there at the station, and I've been with Mr. Shaw, and I've heard them people come and say, "Well, listen, I'm a Republican," and he'll stop them. I don't care, and at the end of the day, the stuff that we deal with, they deal with partisan issues on the state level, on the federal level, but I have yet to come across a Republican pothole. I've yet to come across a
Wow.
Democratic speeding ticket.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to this, we're all citizens of Bolivar.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we get a restaurant to open up in town, they're going to serve Republicans and Democrats alike. And if they don't, they won't be there long.
It's gonna be a problem, right?
Right. They won't be there long. So, and that's another, I take it don't matter, whether you voted for me or not. I mean, everybody didn't vote for me. That's fine. And everybody still won't vote for me. That's okay. But as long as I'm elected as your mayor, whether you like me, love me, or hate me, I am your mayor, and it's my duty to represent you. Now, if you don't receive it, that's on you. But it's my duty to represent you. So I like it like that. And sometimes I have to remind different people that come up to me and stuff like, look, whatever you dealing with, I guarantee you it's not a partisan issue. And if it is a partisan issue, I can't help you. It's on the state level or the federal level or whatever it may be. So, and I just love people. So I don't care if you're like a white or Republican, Democrat, it don't matter with me.
Yeah. Tell me about COVID and how challenging has that been? I mean, it's just such an unfamiliar time for us all, and it's just like we're almost having to learn as we go and all of that. But what's that been like for you?
Oh, it's been very challenging. Because when you're in a rural community, you already have challenges. And anytime you have a pandemic, anytime you have any type of issues come up, most of the time they're just going to magnify problems that you already have.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time they don't really necessarily create new ones. They just magnify what you have. Like with COVID, it was different because it actually did. Not only did it magnify what we had, but now we had our citizens sick and people dying. I mean, so, right now when we deal with, one of the issues that we face in rural cities around this country is broadband. Lack of broadband hasn't cost people their lives. I mean, we don't have a line of people that have died because of lack of broadband.
Yeah.
But, that was the issue we was dealing with. Then once you deal with COVID and we shut down everything and then everything goes online, now not only are we dealing with COVID itself, now we're dealing with COVID and also being disconnected.
Yeah.
And this was something I'll say, and I'll be honest, I'll say it, and I hope every other elected official from the local level all the way up to the president, this was nothing we was prepared for. Right. I mean, I was not prepared for this. I remember when it first started happening, the news first started talking about it. I never imagined that it would be what it was, what it is now. I remember when I first thought, we had so much stuff planned, events and festivals and workshops, and I mean, all kind of stuff planned for this past year. But I remember sitting in a restaurant and I was looking at my phone, and when I saw Shelby County schools closed due to COVID, I was like, okay, this ain't gonna be good here. Because when they saw, I still remember when that happened, and then I got a call from Mr. Dole and Mr. Ross, and he was overseas. The schools, they started calling me. We want you to be a part, because when they do school closures, they don't call me about that. That's nothing they call me about. Yeah. He was like, well, Mayor, we need to talk about this, and I'm thinking, like, I ain't got nothing to do with the school. You calling? So I knew then what was going to happen. And then we started getting emails from medical officials and all this. And I mean, and it happened just like that, back to back. And then they started talking about, our attorney started saying, well, Mayor, you need to do an emergency order. You need to close this. And I'm like, do I even have the authority to tell somebody that they can't even come in a store? Like, and, they started showing me laws in the TCA code that I never even knew about, and then when what got so challenging, when we're in the thick of all this, one of the most challenging things is when you say we want to shut down a business or we want to close something for the safety of our community. You have a person call me, and I had multiple calls, and I tell people all the time, give elected officials grace. And you know, and I say the same thing. You got a double whammy. Both of us do. Elected officials and preachers' kids, like we deserve a special treat for something. I mean, because
Oh,
because you don't
look,
like.
look. Other than hearing, phrases like, how the preacher kids are. We
Yeah,
deserve something much better than that.
yeah, so like, people talked about us, and to this day, I talk about an elected official like they're trash. And
Yeah,
what they don't realize, I can talk about state representative show, and he just state representative show, but to you, that's daddy.
that's
So,
right.
and to me, it's the same way, and people don't realize when you're talking about this stuff, you're talking about a loved one, whether you don't like his
Right.
policy, whatever. So, the families of elected officials, you elect their families too, and when you go through 20 years of public service, it ain't just that one person. So we
Hmm.
started getting calls when you got a person that you say, all right, we're going to close this business because we want people to be safe. And then you have that business owner call you personally and say,
Hmm.
Mayor, if you closing my business, how am I going to pay my light bill tomorrow? How am I going to provide for my family? And I'm like, okay, well, do we let them open or do we let them? I mean, so I fought that back and forth, and you do not realize just the nights that I'm thinking, tossing and turning, like, are we doing the right thing? And like, you believe it or not, the hardest people to deal with was the beauty shop. But these beauticians, I mean, I didn't think
Yeah.
about it at first, and for one, people wanted to get their hair done, but like these people didn't have, just some of
Any
these people
other
live.
any other source of income?
No, right. It's not like they could just go get a loan just that day. And I fussed at my Congress people in Washington. I'm saying, y'all, even to this day, I had a Zoom call the other day with somebody. I said, all this PPP money, it's not getting down to these local people, these mom and pop restaurants that I got
Hmm.
involved with. They're not tax CPA people. They don't understand how to fill out forms, this thick. I said,
Hmm.
it makes me upset to know you got the Hiltons of the world and Bank of America and all these huge corporations that's getting millions and millions of
Yeah.
PPP money. And I got a local restaurant owner that may only need $10,000 to make them through
Hmm.
the next couple of months. So that was so challenging to us, and even to this day, it's still challenging. And people fussed about the mask mandates. Well, the governor didn't give the mandate to the city mayors; they gave it to the county mayors. And then when you talk to the county mayor, and me and Mayor Sain have talked back and forth, when you say we mandate the mask, one of his issues that he deals with is enforcement. Like, it's easy to say we're going to mandate them, but how do you once you mandate it, how do you enforce it? And you would hope people will have the goodwill out of their heart to do it. But I got cussed up down one side the other when we shut down some of the stores. I had one lady, I mean, and she apologized, but she called me everything in the book because we told her she couldn't take her kid in Walmart. And I'm thinking, like, why would you want your kids out in the middle of all this stuff? And we just had a miscommunication. But she told me, I'm a single mother. I don't have resources. I don't have anybody to keep my kids while I go grocery shop. So all that just magnified so much. And, we get these emails saying, well, Walmart is now offering curbside delivery. Not in Hardeman County, not
Right.
happening. So
Right.
I'm hoping that we're on the tail end of this, because we can't take much more of it. I mean, some businesses have closed and won't open back up because of this. Some people have lost, not just loved ones, have lost their source of income, and eventually they're not going to bounce back from that. So I tell everybody, I think everybody ought to get a whole year, a new do-over. Just 2020 just shouldn't even count. Let's just start all the way over again. It seemed like 21 it's just you're coming in with the
But
same
I'm
stuff.
just really glad that we're talking about this though, because I think the audience, I think the community, right, needs to hear it from your perspective, because when people don't know, like you say, when you don't know, when you don't have all the details, it's very
Right.
difficult to not only make decisions, but it's also difficult to understand why decisions are being made, the way that they are. And I'm so glad that you're breaking it down, so that everybody understands.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, you want to do the right thing. You want to do what you think that helps. But we're elected officials. We're not medical experts.
Yeah.
And when you have, I hate to say this, but it's been so politicized. When you have one doctor I can show you emails today from one, I forgot the institution that basically sent out an email to all the mayors saying you guys need to mandate masks. I
Mm-hmm.
got another email from another medical institution saying we shouldn't. I mean, within 2-3 days of each other. So who do you listen to?
Mm-hmm.
So that when you politicize it and it make it all, when you add all this other stuff in it, it just magnifies it even more. And goes back to, other businesses. They have some of, Walmart at one point in time had a mandate on masks and they had a limit on stuff. And what happened, they started trying to enforce it when it first happened. Well, what do you do when you got some, big, tall, muscular guy telling you, I'm not going to put on a mask?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to look Miss Greta standing at the door, standing there saying, you got to wear a mask, and then you call the police department. And I have to look at my guys. My father's a police officer. I don't want him out fighting people that don't want to put a mask on.
I was just about to say, I think about my parents all the time. I worry about my parents all the time. I worried about them being exposed to the virus, right?
Yeah,
Now I'm even worried about, like, I'm constantly asking my dad, "Are you and mom doing okay?" Like, because I know they took the vaccine, right? So I'm
right.
worried about, the impacts of that. It's like a catch-22 thing,
Yeah,
but certainly I don't want them, to go to a store and somebody is refusing, to wear a mask, because, like, whereas we may be okay, probably you more than me. I have to even get on to my children because I need them to look at me like I look at my parents, right?
right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we dealt with that a lot, and still, I mean, it's slowed down some, and a lot of people just started ignoring. I'm trying to tell people we're not out of this yet, but I mean, when that first happened, and what do you do when you have business owners calling? Because you had some following the rules. Some were saying, "Look, if y'all don't want me to open, we're not going to open." You had some doing that, and you had some that wasn't, but when you find out why, it wasn't that they were trying to be rebellious. They had to live. I mean,
They need
like
to
they
eat. Hmm.
had to eat. That's their main source of income. So it was hard. It still is challenging because we're like, I'll tell you, I had my game plan ready for 2020. I mean, we had
Yeah.
so much lined up,
Yeah.
all kind of job fairs, workshops, and we're slowly getting back into it. We had it. I mean, I was ready to go. Like I hadn't prepared to have to worry about how I was going to work with the manager of Walmart in enforcing mask mandates. It
Mm.
was nothing I thought about. And this happened it was back to back. It didn't happen over a 6 month period of time. This happened
Hmm.
back to back.
Hmm.
So the police, I mean, they got to where they was just running back and forth saying, hey, well, this business open, that's not supposed to be open. This group doing this. In the meantime, you still got regular speed violations, regular crime going on. And a lot of that magnified when they start dealing with domestic assaults and all kind of stuff. They magnified. And these people, you look at them as just a policeman or just a fireman. These people have families.
Yeah.
They have to go home to their mom, and like you said, they
Yeah.
have to go home to their people. So as their boss, I don't want to tell them, yeah, go out there and do this and do that. No, y'all stay safe too while you serve and protect us. So like I said, I'm hoping we're on the down end of it. I
Hmm.
don't wish a pandemic on anybody,
Right.
especially somebody in office that you got to make decisions that going to affect people. When I first took
Yeah.
office, the EMS guy called me. He was like, "Hey, congratulations, Mary, but I need all your contact information." I was like, "Huh?" He said, "I needed your cell phone, I need your landline, your address, your wife's number." I was like, "Why you need all that?" He said, "In case of an emergency, you represent 55 some hundred people, and I need to be able to call you to tell you what you want us to do." I'm like, crap, nobody told me that.
Wow.
So it sort of puts it in perspective there when you get a
Mhm.
call like that saying, and every once in a while, he called me during this pandemic. He said, "Hey, Mayor, we at the point now, you got to make some calls. What you going to do?" I'm
Mhm.
like, man, so I'm
Yeah.
great. I will say this. I will say thank you to everybody that's been so understanding.
Mhm.
You have a lot of people that have followed the rules, have tried to do right by people, tried to do everything they can to do right. I
Mhm.
say to them, thank you. I mean,
Mhm.
I can't say thank you enough. And for the ones that don't care enough for, if you don't care enough for yourself, care enough for your mama, maybe. I
Yeah.
mean, for
Yeah.
somebody, you got to
Somebody.
care for somebody, somebody, so, but it's been a challenge, but we're gonna make it through it. We're gonna make it
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah. So let's talk a little further. We're gonna go to break and we'll be right back on 94.7 FM. And we're back, and we're still here with Mayor McTizic of Bolivar, Tennessee. So glad to have you again, and you just have an amazing story. You have a wonderful spirit about you, and let me just say that I'm one of those people that went to school with one of your parents and with your dad, and I know he's proud of you and everything that you do. So hats off to you.
Okay.
Let's talk about, and speaking of family, let's just talk about work-life balance. I've seen a little bit of what you do in a pandemic. I've seen y'all doing games online. Y'all had a lot of fun in in the pandemic. I was like, I don't know, I ain't gonna join because I might be a little slow, so I'm just hold out on there to watch everybody else.
Well, I tell you, it's a challenge, and I mean, I'll just be transparent. It's sometimes, like I said earlier, when you're elected to office, your family is elected to office, and
Mhm,
and I say some people are respectful of your family, some not. I mean,
mhm,
some will stop me, and I take more complaints to Walmart probably than I do anywhere. But
mhm,
some, I mean, they don't care, and they look like, well, you are mayor, and this is what you asked for, so serve us type stuff. But
mhm,
I'll say my wife and my kids, which is all. I mean, they at the age now where they just having fun. They
mhm.
get to go up and play on the fire trucks, and they just living their best life.
Yeah,
I say my wife is so supportive because I mean I don't know. Sometimes my day I have a schedule, and if I'm going to be done at this time, that's what's wrote down. But I never know who's going to come in or who's going to call, and what may be
sure.
a short day will end up being a long day. What
Mhm,
may be a short meeting will end up being 3 4 hour meeting. So I
mhm.
never can tell, but I will say she's been supportive, and she's sort of carried it on as own. Like you mentioned, game night and all that. That was her idea to start, and I say we honestly thought, hey, 10, 15 people, my mama, her mama. We always know, certain people gonna support you, and
Yeah,
mama gonna if don't nobody else show up, mama
I'm
gonna be
gonna
there.
be there.
Yeah, so we figured her mama, my mama, a couple friends, and we have a little fun game night. We never imagined that the results would become what it was. But I mean, Bolivar is a family. The thing I hated about it growing up, when I grew up, if I did something, if I knew if Rhonda Shaw saw me doing something, she was gonna tell my daddy. I
Yeah.
knew, I hated that growing up because everybody knew the McTizic family. If they didn't know my dad, they knew my aunt or uncle or granddad. I just like let me be free. Like I'm trapped here. I need to go bloom. And the crazy thing about it, when I left and went to Nashville and went to college, I missed because when I had that flat tire, nobody knew that I was a McTizic. I was just
Yeah.
some other guy. So,
Yeah.
but we're a family here, and your problem is my problem, and it works out. I mean, it's like I said, it's challenging because I have a full-time job outside of what I'm doing with the city in politics. But people's complaints don't stop, and the city's gonna run whether I'm there or not. So I signed up for it, and I'm enjoying it. And my wife has came, and sometimes she tell me, look now, when you get off the phone, like she has a rule, I can't come in the house on the phone. So I
Okay.
have to off the phone when I come in the house. So
Okay.
if I'm talking about politics, about a meeting or whatever it is, I have to stand outside and before I come in.
Okay.
So one council meeting, I was standing outside here. It was cold, and I'm standing outside on the porch in the cold, and I was talking to one of my council members. I said, "Hey, I gotta let you go. I'm at the house, and I can't get in. It's cold out here." They was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I can't come in the house talking about politics." They were
Mm.
like, "Why you get out the car?" Because I thought we was going to get off the phone. Something else came up. So we got little rules like that. I'm not allowed to come in talking about politics. So little stuff like that. She know when her time is her time. And I mean, I deal with it like the same thing with the boys. Like, but they're at the age now, they want to be at City Hall. They want to be on the fire truck and the police cars and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I enjoy it. I think I do a good job. Probably a question you have to ask them. Does
Uh-huh.
that balance time out? So she hadn't left me, so I guess I'm doing all right.
Well, thank you for letting us take a little peek inside of your personal life. Um, you've talked a lot about, this was never really, you didn't grow up wanting to be a mayor. You never said, "Hey, I want to be a mayor when I grow up," and how you just kind of your life just evolved, and here you are. So, I take it that this is not what you studied in college,
Oh
even.
no. I
Nothing,
studied
nothing even
music.
remotely. Huh?
I studied commercial and recording arts. So
Wow.
I'm certified in recording, working on Pro Tools and at a recording studio. That was my love at the radio station. I nothing to do with political science. The closest I had was the history that you had to take to get your degree.
Yeah. Wow. So let's talk about that then. How have you stayed abreast and, have you done particular trainings? Have you gone to other places and cross-trained with other mayors such as yourself? What have you done to just kind of keep yourself, up to par?
Well, when I first took office, one mayor and we became close friends. Mayor Rawls in Brownsville. The day
Yeah.
I got elected May 16th, and I never forget. I did not sleep that night after the election. I did not go. I could not sleep. He
Hmm.
called me like at 8:30, like one round. I had no clue who he was. Didn't have his number saved. He called me. He friends of my family, just from the Rawls family in
Hmm.
Brownsville, just knowing each other. But
Hmm.
he called me. And it was so funny. And if you know Mayor Rawls, he talks fast. And he's
Yeah.
like, "McTizic, congratulations, man! I'm so excited for you. Look, we got to get together, man. What you doing tomorrow? You need to come up here tomorrow. We need to talk. I need to show you some stuff. I need to get you on this. Where you gonna be next month? We got this going on." I'm sitting here like, no, you again. So I mean, we hit it off just like that, and I mean, back and forth. He called me, and once we went here, and I had been on council, so I knew a few people in the political arena around the state. Same thing with Mr. Shaw. I had a relationship with him in Nashville, so
Hmm.
I knew people a little bit. And then once I got elected, we just went to a whole nother level. And I had the opportunity to go to West Star. West Tennessee leadership course.
I'm an alumni. I love West Star. Yeah.
West Star, I'll tell anybody that comes in, West Star was probably one of the most single reasons that I have been successful with
Hmm.
in politics in the city today.
Hmm.
I met in a matter of 2-3 months. I can't remember how long it was, maybe 6 months. I can't remember how long it was now. But right when I took office, I started West Star, and I met somebody in every county in West Tennessee, and we built relationships. I mean, instantly, because
It's
we
such a
all
well put together program.
Oh, I tell anybody and everybody, if you're in business, you're in politics, whatever
Mhm.
you're in, if you're in a leadership role, you need to figure out how to get involved in West
And
Star.
I have to thank another Haywood County and Miss Ann Banks. I have to give a
Oh yeah.
shout out to her because I think she is the reason I went through West Star, and I can't even say how many years ago. You ain't gonna make me look old.
I was class of 2018, so it wasn't that, I mean, few years ago. So,
2018. Oh my God, I'm talking probably back in the 90s.
oh yeah. Oh man. So, but I mean, West Star is great. That
Hmm.
got me started on my when I first took office. And from that, and if you see the stuff back here hanging on my wall,
Hmm.
I am now a certified economic developer through the state of Tennessee, and
Wow.
I had to go through each course and just learning. And it was crazy because I was in a class I was in a class of economic developers, real estate guys, people in a whole nother scene that I was with. And they was like, "You a mayor? I mean, what
Hmm.
makes you want to get involved here?" And I said, "Look, we don't have a budget to hire an economic developer. Some
Hmm.
cities they have economic development. I know in Memphis they have Edge there. It's a
Yeah.
whole entity, a couple $100,000. I think one of them, their budget's like $1 million just on economic development." And I said, "Look, you're looking at economic development person, the dog catcher, I mean, I wear all the hats, so I don't have a budget to go out and hire somebody to
Oh.
do that. So once I got in, each one of these I went to, got that, and I became a certified economic development. That helped me. So when I went and I'm speaking to industries, and people look and think, well, we don't have any industries. And I mean, that's a hard thing to do, because Bolivar, back in the day, years ago, it was simply as calling somebody or knowing somebody.
Hmm.
I could call, "Hey, Run the Show got this, and I think you need to be
Hmm.
in Bolivar."
Hmm.
Well, 20, 30 years ago, you couldn't jump online and type Bolivar, Tennessee, enter, and
Yeah.
see it and be like, "Hey,
Hmm.
I don't want to be there." So now it's a whole nother ball game. That's why I've been so active on social media and so active in and being making Bolivar a presence, because
Hmm.
there are thousands and thousands of cities just like Bolivar in this
Yeah.
whole country. So one simple thing, we're 45 miles from the interstate. You know what? They could find somebody 10 miles from the interstate, and they'll go there, and they don't even have to come to Bolivar. They can look online and see, hey, well, you got this, and that. That won't work for me. Years ago, they had the CEO of the industry. They'll fly them in, the mayor or whoever come pick them up, state representatives pick them up, and they take them around town and show them what they want to show them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't show them the negative stuff. They didn't take them to the worst part of town.
Yeah.
Now you can get online and see it. So I tell people all
Yeah.
the time, the stuff that you putting out here on Facebook and all this stuff. I mean, I hate my city. We this, we that. I mean, we had a quick story. I had one guy come in, was looking to open a plant here up. This guy had on, had on skinny jeans and like a pastel colored shirt. He was the CEO of a company. Now, I mean, we was working this guy. So he comes in and we sat down at the restaurant. And I had an older guy come up to me. Hey, Mayor, how you doing? I spoke to him. I'm good. And he said, well, man, what are you doing here? He said, I said, I'm just talking to this guy, trying to get him maybe to do some business here in town, trying to get him to go off. Because he don't mean, you know how we are. We stop. He said, well, man, he said, them jeans sure is tight around your ankles. I was like, oh my, I was so embarrassed. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Don't just look. He laughed, but stuff like that, and like, well, why you bring them here? Out of all the places you bring them to eat, you brought them here. And I'm like, come on.
So Mayor, I was gonna ask you if you had any blooper moments. That
Constantly, all the time. So, stuff like that, I didn't know about that. I didn't know things like that would happen. But in these courses, I have met people from across the state. And so now when something comes up, I can pick up a phone. And I got a real close friend up in Chattanooga in East Tennessee. We're working on we're trying our best to get a hotel here. He's in a small city just like ours that have about the same type of people we got. And we're working through stuff now. They've already done it. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I just figure out, and I just pick up the phone. Hey, man, help me. So we have those relationships like that. So, and I can't tell you how often I'm on the phone and in Nashville representing Shaw. When I say it was Senator Wallen, that was Senator Gresham at the time. Those people, when I tell people all the time, you may not like Mr. Shaw because he's a Democrat, or you may not like Senator Gresham at the time because she was a Republican. But Ron, I can't tell you how much when I walked in there. When I walked to Nashville, I was proud because you say Representative Shaw, at the time, Senator Gresham, folks listen to you. And when I called them in my office, they got stuff done. I mean, that's a fear of mine. I keep telling people, I don't know who's going to come in these next steps. And I told Senator Wall, I said, you got some big shoes to fill. And whoever come out to Representative Shaw, it'll be the same way. Because if I call him and say, I need this done, it's happening, but that comes with relationships and just meeting people. And I've been successful. But those two programs, West Star and the TCD program, I will say have opened doors for me in my position that I never would imagine. Like and Mayor Rawls and Mayor all out the West Tennessee, because we all dealing with the same. I mean, Brownsville's a little different than Bolivar. Bolivar's a little different than Selma, but we're all almost identical to each other. We got some things, so I'm talking and texting Mayor Rawls all the time. I mean, he calling me, man, let me tell you what happened today.
Yeah.
And he'll tell me, and then that'll be it. So I appreciate those relationships. And I'll tell anybody, get involved. Relationships go a long way with people. Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear, and we have about 4 or 5 minutes left. Tell me about how you've been able to add a sense of diversity to the city, even in your immediate cabinet or what the city offers. I see the musical events, and that's right up my alley. I see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about some of the things you've been able to do.
Well, when we came in, I still got the same department heads. I've hired one, our police chief, and Mike's African American police chief there. We've appointed some other positions, and I've tried to get other people on boards that's more diverse. And I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people would on the outside looking in think it's just black and white, but it's not just black and white. I'm trying to get females involved in boards and younger people. Like I'm trying to get I'd hate going to me. I'm always the youngest person at every meeting. I'm like, but it's more, I'm not the only 30, 40-year-old person in this city. We
Mm-hmm.
need to put some younger people on boards. And, when I call them, like, well, I don't want to serve on a board. What's that? Why?
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on that. One of the events, I've always tried to follow the thing that's saying, find out what you're good at and the things that you're good at, do it, and the stuff that you're not good at, let somebody
Mm-hmm.
else do it. Music for me was something I love, and I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's still a passion of mine. We've
Mm-hmm.
had music on the square for, I say, maybe 10 years or so. I can't remember for sure. We had music on the square for about 10 years. And
Yeah.
we've had some different things. It was funny because they kept every time we have a DEFCO meeting, they kept saying, we need to get Miss Opal up here and get her to put on some gospel events. And I say, you probably not gonna have any success getting Miss Opal to come up here and put on. She may sing, I very seriously doubt it though. Okay. You probably about to catch her at church Sunday morning. That's about all you're gonna see her. And I said, well, let's try to, because I told her I want to have some more diverse, but the people on the board that does, they are average 60, 70-year-old,
Yeah.
white males. And
Uh-huh.
you say diverse, they think gospel and they think Opal Shaw. That's
Uh-huh.
yeah. So I reached out to Ken Griggs and I said, Ken, look, this is what we want to do. I want to bring some more stuff. And I mean, he took off with it. We had Anthony Hamilton in
I
Boston.
remember.
Like, I
Uh-huh.
mean, like that was huge. And that's, we had some more stuff, and I can't tell who we got, but we had some stuff planned for this year. Hopefully we're going to move it to next year, but those things
I want
have,
to be one of the first to know. You have to come back and talk about it, okay?
yeah, we definitely will, but we got a lot of that we've added, and there's going to be a lot more, and just a lot of it just inviting people and letting people know you
Mm-hmm.
are included. You can come and be a part. We want to have you here, whether you're
Mm-hmm.
white, whether you're black,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're old or whether you're young. Some people just don't. Some people will do a lot for you if you ask them.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't been asking people. So be on the lookout. I tell everybody, you're going to see a whole lot more diverse music opportunities on the square, events and festivals to take a part of. It's gonna be huge. I'm excited about it.
Okay. Well, I want to give you a big old virtual hug and a big old pandemic fist bump and tell you how proud I am again of you. And thank you so much for taking some time to come and talk with me. I'm glad that this community, gets to hear more about you and take a peek into what you do because I think it helps, and people won't have to be so hard about some things when they understand, what all it entails or what have you. I thank you guys for being here again another Saturday. And as I said, um, Black History doesn't stop here for Doctor to Doctor. We're going to keep it going. And I look forward to seeing you guys again right here on the Gospel Giant 94.7 FM on next week. We'll see you then.